Kia ora, Legionnaires. Rykon here, and welcome back to Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead, and welcome to Season 3 of Dusk's Tale. Now, before that number scares you away, as with every season, it serves as the perfect jumping on point. So do not fear, you need no prior knowledge to enjoy what is set before us. And if you're more interested in the world in which we're playing in and the settings that I've used to create it, be sure to stick around to the end of the episode, where I'll cover all of those things. As this world is one with very little hope. It is one ravaged by the cataclysm, greater than any we have seen before. But to get there, we must first go on a journey. And that journey begins at the end of Season 2. Duskwood stands in front of her great vehicle, the Leviathan, her eyes set on a rippling portal before her, a tear in reality, one that beckons to her, calls to her. From it comes a sensation, a feeling of home, and more than that, a connection to someone that she thought was lost, the twin brother that she never knew. He is there, and she can get to him. Leaving her ally in the Leviathan behind, she walks forward through the snow to that beckoning portal. Her ally, Bridget Lacroix, the Boneseer, calls to her across her radio, but Dusk does not hear it. Drawn forwards, she is pulled into the rippling tear, brought from here to another place, a place also touched by winter and the cataclysm. She can hear the ticking of an engine, smell oil and smoke on the air, and that connection that she felt to her brother, she knows that he is here. Stepping forwards, it is clear. A wrecked vehicle, ploughed into a boulder, lays forgotten and abandoned, slowly disappearing beneath the snow. And as she approaches, Dusk can see what remains of the driver, her brother, Elliot the Wendigo Wood. Separated at birth, she finds him now at his death. The man splutters, blood already filling his lungs. He too is twisted by mutation, just like herself. Yet why did that tear bring her here just for the end? Some sick move of fate or something else? Words that the Boneseer Bridget Lacroix once spoke resonate in the mind of Dusk. It's not just the walking horrors and monsters that have changed with the cataclysm. It started a cycle of sorts. Everything repeats. We can see it only in others, but it happens to us, even you and I. How many times have you fallen, your flesh rent from your body, devoured? Or perhaps it was the quiet whimper of death to exposure, but your bones rose again. Different flesh, different name, sometimes even different knowledge, but the bones the same. We are all trapped in the same cycle. We just keep forgetting. Although the words were only in the head of Dusk, it was like Bridget was here, the presence of the Boneseer. More blood spluttered from the man's mouth. Death was near, his eyes locked onto Dusk's. In that moment, she steels herself. This will not be the end. She senses that presence again, the seer at work, and out the corner of her vision, yet another tear appears. Like fabric, reality parts, and through it, an unknown future, an unknown fate, but one in which her brother may yet live. But what might she be sacrificing to walk through it? What knowledge, what parts of herself will be wrought from her? She doesn't know, yet she wishes to save the brother that she never had. Scooping up the dying man, Dusk trudges through the snow towards that opening, towards the unknown. A smell drifts through, the sharp smell of sanitation, a smell all too familiar to Dusk, the smell of her old home. And with but a moment's hesitation, she steps through. Blinded by sight, deafened by sound, her perspective is squeezed and pulled before her eyes open. In the body, the form of another. The bones are hers, yet this is not the Dusk we knew, and by her side, her twin brother looks at her breathlessly. They both carry an awareness of who they were before. Yes, the bones are the same, yet they've taken the form of themselves in a reality far different from their own, one that is far deadlier. They are both wearing nothing more than a one-piece subject suit, numbered 001 on Elliot and 002 on Dusk, both followed by the word wood. And so, we have two characters here. Let's get to know them a little. Firstly, we have Dusk, now 20 years of age, with an 8 in strength, 10 in dexterity, 10 in intelligence, and 11 in perception. And while in the past, Dusk has been a nigh unstoppable force, the body that she now inhabits is not so capable yet. With no skills in melee, she has a 2 in marksmanship and a 2 in archery. Under crafting, she has a 1 in food handling, fabrication, and electronics, and a 3 in applied science. So, some knowledge has either remained, or this Dusk has learned all she could in this place. A place which we'll talk about a little more after this. And then finally, under interaction, a 1 in computers, healthcare, and social. Now, let's get to some of those mutations. And while many of these might be familiar to long-term watchers, there are some that are new. Namely, the first, Awakened Telekinetic. This trait allows Dusk to have mental control over the motion of objects and people at a distance. Perhaps a trait that has always been there, just undiscovered. She has her green fey eyes, her long, white, messy hair, and a lifting hand, an ability that comes from that telekinetic awakening. With a modicum of concentration, Dusk can carry a single item with her powers, and as her power increases, she may meditate on it to expand its capacity. Now, her first trait here. And yes, one of Dusk's core genetic traits is her unstable genome. Her DNA has been damaged in a way that causes her to continually develop more mutations. She is deft, meaning that she can recover from missed strikes much faster than others. Her teeth have grown into 2-inch long fangs, allowing her to make an extra attack with it when conditions are favorable. And as talked about before, she has her fey eyes, the shade shifting, but the effect is pleasant. She is fleet-footed, allowing her an additional 15% of movement speed on sure footing. She also has a light step, meaning that she's going to be quieter in general and she'll be less likely to set off traps. Her fingernails are long and sharp, and when she isn't wearing gloves, her unarmed attacks will deal a minor amount of cutting damage. And on her hand, a strange occult symbol carved into her hand by Bridget Lacroix. Yes, she still has the mark of the seer, even here. And then finally, we have her robust genetics. While her genome is unstable, her genetics have rapidly adapted to the chaos of the cataclysm, and genetic damage caused by mutations will fade much faster. Now, getting into the rest of our traits. Dusk, like her brother, is albino, meaning that she'll burn easier out in the sun and is just more susceptible to that sunlight in general. She has an animal discord, meaning that most animals feel slightly uneasy around her. Aggressive animals are more likely to attack. She is a heavy sleeper, meaning noises are unlikely to wake her up, a dangerous one. And while paired with insomniac, well, she has quite the time getting to sleep. Dusk is also a lightweight, meaning alcohol and drugs will go straight to her head and she will suffer the negative effects for longer. And finally, she is a truth teller. In general, Dusk fails when it comes to deception. And now finally, we do have a few proficiencies. First of all, the Archer's form, chemical synthesis, and basic chemistry. Now, let us inspect the brother. Elliot the Wendigo Wood currently has an 8 in strength, 11 in dexterity, 10 in intelligence, and a 9 in perception. Somewhat more skilled in melee, than Dusk as she stands. Elliot has a 3 in melee, 4 in unarmed combat, a 3 in cutting weapons, and a variable number in dodge. As of yet, he has no range skills. As for crafting, he has a 2 in survival, 2 in food handling, 1 in fabrication, electronics, and applied science. And then under interaction skills, a 1 in mechanics, 1 in computers, healthcare, social, and a 2 in vehicles. And under Elliot's traits, we see he has short white hair, with no fringe, and just like Dusk, Elliot is genetically unstable. Yet the true difference here is that Elliot doesn't have that robust genome. Dangerous. Of course, the defining trait of Elliot in the past and in the current is cannibalism. No doubt a trait that's carried on in his bones. For his whole life, he's been forbidden from indulging in his particular tastes, but now that the world has ended, he'll be damned if anyone is going to tell him that he can't eat people. How pleasant. Elliot also has fast reflexes, allowing him to dodge attacks more easily. And then of course, a killer drive. He derives enjoyment from killing things. Putting end to life seems to spark some dark satisfaction and thrill, and he craves it every moment. He, like his sister, has a light step. However, his eyes differ from Dusk's, and Elliot possesses night vision, allowing him to see further in the dark than most. And finally, Elliot is quick, giving him a 10% bonus to his action points. Now to the rest of his traits. Like Dusk, Elliot is albino, and perhaps it is because of his preferred diet, but Elliot has a fructose intolerance. Eating fruits will always cause his stomach to ache. It's possible for him to eat them, however he'll get less nutrition, and it will upset him to do so. He also hates vegetables. Like fructose, it's possible for him to consume them, however he's not going to get much from them. And just like Dusk, he's also quite the heavy sleeper. And finally, he has cataleptic psychosis. Ever since the sky first broke, the cataclysm began, Elliot has felt unwell. His head split by alien thoughts. He will periodically suffer from delusions ranging from minor effects to full visual hallucinations. Some of these effects may be controlled through the use of an antipsychotic. Finally, under his proficiencies, we have the athlete's form and driving. Let us hope that he can teach his sister a thing or two. And that's the interesting thing. Now that Dusk has her brother back, she is going to want to keep him alive. Now, anyone that's played Cataclysm before will know that keeping NPCs around can be quite the challenge, and that is going to be but one of many challenges ahead for the Woods, as the twins find themselves in a large room in front of 2 smashed tubes that both of them realize they were in not so long ago, their skin still wet from the fluid the tubes contained. While this place is unfamiliar to Elliot, it is all too familiar to Dusk. She and him are deep within a lab, and with no idea where in the world they are, escaping this place will be their first priority. And so, Elliot, looking towards his sister, clearly sensing the same connection that Dusk feels. They pass thoughts back and forth, communicating without speech. They make a silent pact to leave this place together. And with that, we begin. And we are beginning with not much. Both Elliot and Dusk have access to a telescoping umbrella. Not that either of these bodies has seen much of the sun. And it does appear that Dusk has an extra thing with her. This integrated lifting field. This is part of her telekinesis. It allows her to lift one thing with her powers, removing its effects on her encumbrance. It has a volume of 10,000 liters, but it can only take up to 2 kgs of weight, so I don't think we'll maximize that volume. But it's useful to have, and I'll be intrigued to see how that works for us. And heading across to Elliot here, we can see that he has on his person a prescription bottle of antipsychotic drugs, which it might be beneficial for us to take that now before his psychosis starts to take form. So we will be taking that with Elliot, and Elliot is going to need to eat. He is going to need to drink. He's going to need to do everything that a regular player would need to do in Cataclysm, as we have NPC needs turned on, and we will also be taking control of Elliot from time to time. For now though, these two need to work together. They need to try and find a way out of this place, and they're going to have a hard time. I know I said I would talk a little bit about the world settings towards the end of the episode, but one of the major things that you'll probably come to notice is that there isn't much available to us. The item spawn rate is down to 0.3 as opposed to the regular 1 that it's set at. So in this room, we only have one thing, and that is some clean water, which we are going to go ahead and grab right away with Dusk. We'll hold on to that, as we don't know how long we are going to be down here. We also have a lot of glass over here on the floor, 77 shards of it, as both Elliot and Dusk here seem to have emerged from both of these tanks moments before the Elliot and Dusk that we know took control. And in this space, it is a big space, we have to the south of us a high energy conduit, no doubt a dissector, something that Dusk is all too familiar with and something that we are going to want to try and avoid. We have two different ways that we can exit this room, but we also have up here these counters, which it might be worth us trying to smash them to try and get some basic weaponry before we leave here. We can always try and use a glass shard as a basic cutting tool, or perhaps we can't. It does have a cut value to it, but we can't really use it for much. So let's see if we even have a chance to bash one of these counters. Slamming into it again and again, Dusk attempts to break the thing. However, it doesn't seem like she is damaging it. Unfortunate. So it's unlikely that we're actually going to be able to get anything of use out of this room. So before we continue on, before we go further, we're probably going to want to have a look at Elliot, or rather have a talk to Elliot about what we want him to be doing and when. Starting off with his combat commands, we're going to go to his engagement rules, and we're going to say only attack enemies that I attack first, because ideally we'll be kiting enemies where possible. We will say stick close to me no matter what, and just in case it becomes a thing, we'll say don't use grenades. And sure, hold the line, don't move onto obstacles adjacent to me. That's looking all pretty good to me. So now miscellaneous rules. For the moment, we'll allow him to pick up items. We will tell him to try and stay quiet. He'll also be leaving corpses alone, not running out to try and bash them. We'll ask him to close any doors he goes through, and to not walk through any closed doors. And finally, don't investigate noises that you can't see. And I think that should be everything for now. But I'm sure we'll figure out pretty quickly if there's anything that we missed there. Elliot, please do stay close. And oh, he wants to go and get a glass shard. Alright, okay, go on, grab your glass shard. Okay, I feel like you maybe tried to grab too many there, mate? Did you got your glass shard though? Yes, he is wielding it. Now we could do the same thing for Dusk. Her long nails can be useful in combat, but they aren't super useful. So having a cutting tool might be a good idea. Or you know what, we can even throw glass shards at people as well. Let's wield one of them, just in case. Oh, and we are wearing the telescoping umbrella. Of course, because we're wearing it around our wrist. We're carrying that plastic bottle just floating alongside next to Dusk. Let's actually have a look at the umbrella. That is not a good weapon. Yeah, no. And I think we're probably going to leave it behind for the time being. I don't know if Elliot is still holding onto his. He is, which I suppose we could tell him to drop that. By sorting his armor, we can unequip this, which should cause him to drop it. Now, it's up to him whether or not he goes and picks it up again. He wants to leave it behind? Great. So, the twins, with glass shards in hand, will start to make their way out of this first room. And oh, before we leave entirely, Dusk does have a few extra abilities under spellcasting. Now these are using stamina, rather than mana, because it's not magic, it's her mental fortitude that's allowing her to do these things. We have Force Shove, which allows her to push something away with a sonic force, Far Hand, which allows her to pull something towards her, and Momentum Alteration, which kind of speeds her and other objects up. We can see how long they can possibly last for. There is also a failure chance on these. Far Hand seems to be the easiest. We have just under a 50% fail chance on Force Shove. And we can also see how long it takes to cast it as well. Well, there we go. We will keep that in mind. For now though, let's open this first door. And you know what? Maybe we should be opening it to the side to begin with, so that we can kind of peek and see what's going on. See if there are problems in here. There's darkness, and listening, we're not hearing too much in that darkness. Thank you, Elliot, for closing that behind us. We have a fridge over here, which probably means that we have oozes in here. Something died close by. Ah, there we go. A goo pit. Elliot, avoid the goo pit, please. Thank you. From the south, we hear, I was once a man. A man. Wonderful. Sounds like we've got some friends. Okay, I was just making sure that that wasn't Elliot smashing his way through the glass, because you never know. NPCs can be very unpredictable. So we are hearing all the sound to the south right now. So let's just wait a moment or two. Okay, we're not hearing directed sound, which means that there might not be something in this room here. There is only one way to truly find out though. And Dusk is taking the lead here, but there is also a chance that Elliot might actually be able to see better in this environment, so he might react to things that we haven't noticed. The Fey eyes that Dusk has does allow her to see a little bit further, but I don't believe it's as good as night vision. Not much in this room either by the looks of things, no, but we have big doors off towards the east. We're going to continue moving through these slightly smaller rooms to begin with, and we're going to really hope that we do not get gunned down by turrets in this place. And oh boy, we have our first enemy already. A zombie dog, a deformed, animated corpse of a canine, a sinewy beast which can easily outpace its two-legged friends. So, what are we going to do about this? Well, Elliot has closed the door behind us as we asked him to do. Now, because there's two of us here, I think we should be able to handle this threat without too much trouble. I am also noticing that Elliot is carrying 25 items, so there is a strong possibility that his pockets are just jingling with glass shards. A strange choice, but it's his choice. Okay, let's start to back up away from this thing. Oh, fantastic. That is really not ideal. A zombie dog and a zombie security guard. Really not that great. The zombie dog isn't going to have as much health, so there is a strong chance that we might be able to deal with that first. Let's just wait a turn. Okay, well, here we go. We're going to make our first strike against the zombie dog, and we damaged the glass shard. Of course we did. So it's not going to do as much damage as it was before. A cut of 5, it's not very good. We try and strike again. Okay, and Elliot managed to nick the security guard, and we took some damage as the zombie dog bites down on our right leg, latching in place. The glass shard shatters as we hit the zombie dog for 6 damage. It's bleeding, but so are we. We strike again and again, and with a bite, Dusk kills our first creature here. The zombie dog is dead. And Elliot is tangoing with a zombie security guard who is bleeding badly. Dusk moves in, sinking her fangs into the security guard. That is our best source of damage right now. As we can see, we hit the security guard, but we did no damage whatsoever. And as we can see, Elliot is trying to stab this one. With his glass shards, they're shattering, and he's pulling out new ones as he goes. And you know what? The duo are doing it. Dusk is taking some damage, but they are slowly starting to tear this guard apart. Yeah, that bulletproof vest is giving a lot of resistance. Missing, we strike again, 1 damage with a critical. Yeah, we gotta rely on the fangs. We hear that cyborg further to the south as the security guard latches onto Dusk's arm with one final bite. Digging deep into the neck of the guard, Dusk ends its life. So, Dusk is bleeding, Elliot is looking okay right now, and we have 2 bodies here. And interestingly enough, it might just be the lack of light, but these seem to be past the point of regeneration. And interestingly, they both died by Dusk's fangs. This is a bruised corpse, this is a regular corpse. And no doubt the security guard might have some interesting things on them. We're going to start by just putting pressure on our wound though. And if there is anything there that Elliot wants, he will be taking that. Let's have a look. What do you have? Oh, you really had nothing. A stylish wallet, and that's about it. Wow. No equipment for us. Ah, unfortunate. Okay. And the zombie dog, just the dog tags. So, do we want to smash these corpses? I think it's still worthwhile, even if we can't tell for sure. Yeah, no, we're not pulping them. The bodies didn't need to be pulped. Intriguing. Well, let's go grab one of these glass shards off the ground. It would be nice if we could turn it into a shiv, but we are going to need a little bit more to be able to do that. Thankfully, we're not seeing any turrets in this room right now, but there is a console that we might be able to interact with. So let's cautiously make our way around here. Okay, we're suffering from mild pain at the moment. Let's have a look at Elliot examining his wounds. Oh boy, yeah, okay. His right arm is significantly injured, so we are going to have to try and do something about that, buddy. And also, you're really going hard on those glass shards, aren't you? Okay, let's have a look at this thing. We're going to try and figure out how difficult it is going to be to bypass the security. Access is denied currently. Now, Dusk has had a pretty considerable skill with computers in the past. Right now, though, I don't think it's that high for her. Computers of 1. So we might be able to hack it. If we fail, though, it could be rather bad. If we succeed, we might be able to download a satellite map of the area, which then would allow us to kind of figure out where the heck we are. It's a risk versus a reward. We are going to take that risk right now. All right, not great. That's an alarm. A considerable alarm. Now, we could potentially try again in a little bit, but right now, I think maybe we just move on, because we probably just stirred up a whole heap of trouble heading this way. Let's try this door, look at moving through, and ideally, we want to be trying to avoid enemies where we can. That is a good tool, though. If we can keep Elliot away from fights for now, we can lure enemies towards that. And there's nothing in here, nothing at all. We're really feeling that lack of goods, that lack of loot. And honestly, I'm loving it. It's fantastic. Let's keep moving. Our memory will tell us where we've been. Now, we were hearing trouble to the south in the form of the cyborg. We could try it this way up here towards the southeast. Let's do it. Let's do it. And you know what? For now, I am going to tell Elliot to stop closing doors, because if we need to run back there quickly, well, actually, you know what we're going to do? And I think we're probably going to have to do this a fair bit throughout this. Dusk is concerned about how injured his arm is. We're going to tell Elliot to guard this position for now. He shouldn't leave the room because we told him to not open closed doors. He should stay in there. And Dusk is going to scout ahead, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, lots of light in here, and in the distance, we have a zombie brute. The zombie's entire body bulges with distended muscles and swollen, festering wounds. Yup, and we have a staircase down. And we have 2 zombie scientists, which I would very much like to take out. If we can lure them over towards a dissector, that would do the work we needed to do. And I think it's safer to take them to the dissector up the top, rather than the one that Elliot is in right now. So let's let them kind of catch sight of us, and we're going to start to try and lure them up this way. Now, they are losing sight of us. Come on, let's go, let's go. Now, if we only get one of them at a time, I'm also okay with that. We don't want to let them get too close, though. Yep, come on, keep on going. We'll get this door open. We're in the light now. Oh, okay, that was a blob. I'm relatively sure that we just saw a blob emerge from the floor. The other zombie scientist has disappeared, so let's just try and lure this one for now. Up towards here. Come on. There we go. Electrical beams emit from the floor, and the zombie scientist dies. And it's dead. It is dead. Washing soda and a t-shirt. Yes, so even on the undead that we kill, The clothes have rotted away to a point where there is little more than a t-shirt clinging to this zombie scientist. Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. So, let's track down that second scientist and figure out what the heck went on with that blob. Because there definitely was a blob somewhere. Okay, nothing down here. Oh boy. Okay, we heard a sound. Footsteps from over here, but we didn't see anything. Intriguing. Alright, there's the slime. Hello, slower than us. Well, are we going to be able to lure you all the way over? Elliot, are you okay? The slime misses you. Do we want to fight a slime right now? Let's take a slash at it. We nick the slime for 7 damage. Minor bleeding, okay. It's managed to hit us as well. We're sinking our fangs into it. Yet again, that seems to be doing the most damage. A few more strikes. Man, we're not really getting there. Can I lure you away? It's difficult to get you out of there, really. Just biting at this thing. We're slowly starting to take it apart, but we're also getting covered in thick goo at the same time. But we have a little bit of growth there. We've managed to get our unarmed combat skill up to 1. As the slime hits our leg and then our torso, we're hitting it, but we're doing no damage. The only way that we seem to be able to damage it right now is with our fangs. And it looks like it wants to move on, but it doesn't. And the fact that it's so close to our brother, we don't like that. No, come on, follow me. Let's yell. And we're not going to tell Elliot to follow, we're just going to yell. We're going to try and get its attention. And I want to try and see if we can lure it up to our good little dissector. Yelling again. Wow, it's really not wanting to follow us, huh? Are you just staying down here still? No, it's moved on. Okay, good. Elliot's still safe for now. Yep, slime, minor bleeding. We're going to leave it for the time being. We'll actually close this door here. Oh, and now you're coming for us, huh? Elliot, just stay in your room. Just stay in your room. Okay, it's you that's whacking. Okay, well, this gives us a chance to actually have a look around here and see if we can find anything like a lighter, a very, very useful tool. Oh, and yes, we haven't used any of Dusk's powers yet. We are in distracting pain now, which does mean that it's going to be much more difficult for us to do these things. Yeah. Pain makes it very hard to focus. But hey, Dusk has survived so far without telekinetic power. Let's hope she can continue to do that. So we've got a few different wooden chairs here. We might stand a better chance at smashing one of them. So we're going to see if we can do that, because getting a basic bashing tool early on, I think could make a bit of a difference in here. We don't seem to be damaging the chair. We just don't have the strength right now. 7 strength means that it's going to be difficult for us to break that apart. We do have another terminal over here that we can interact with. We'll have a look at it. Containment control. We're not going to screw around with that right now. As we can see, in containment over here is a zombie brute. We can kind of work our way around the outside here, and I think we're going to continue to do that for now. Doesn't look like there's anything else on the counters here. There can't be anything hidden in them. We're just going to make our way through here and see what we have on the other side. Yet another terminal. Okay, opening this one. What do we got? We can't see much, if anything, in this space. We're hearing a lot of noise, so it means that there's probably something in there. Footsteps. There's certainly something in there. We can't really seem to access anything else. No. Oh, there we go. We can see a little bit better. Oh boy, a crawler. Something that Dusk has most certainly seen before, a conglomeration of human parts fused together in a horrible mishmash of function, slowly dragging its eldritch body across the ground. We'll be leaving that in there. Yeah, close that behind us. Now what are we hearing up here? Mechanical whirring. So we either have man-hacks or something much worse, larger and mechanical. So we will leave you for now. I think we're going to go back and get Elliot. Yup. So let's see if we can do this without activating that slime. It seems to be pretty happy down there for now. Elliot, follow. Let's get going. Okay. Yep, close the doors behind you. I'm fine with you doing that, buddy. Just going to close that one. Good. Ignore the brute. Don't worry about it. And let's figure out which way we want to go. There is a room that we can go into down here. We'll check it out, see if there's anything. We've got a centrifuge here. Again, I'm just going to occasionally try and bash things to see if we can actually get any kind of headway with them. Well, something broke nearby. That wasn't us. Yeah, No luck. We might be damaging it, but I don't think we're doing enough at all. We're going to wait. We're going to catch our breath. Oh boy. All right. And we're going to try and continue on. Sounds like there's a fair bit of noise over this way as well. Shuffling. Okay. Now, we can close the doors if we encounter trouble. And yeah, buddy, let's actually not close the doors just for now. Just because if we do need to turn and run, it would be good to do so. Getting Elliot to do that, though, will be difficult because I think sometimes he is still going to try and engage no matter what. Dangerous. Dangerous as ever. Okay. Just another room, and we're wanting to make sure that they're quiet, that we're not hearing much going on in them. And then we'll be peeking. Don't trust it, really. I want to try and have a look from up this way here. We're going to try and move Elliot to be out the way because I am still concerned that we could have active turrets. I know that the situation has changed a little bit with turrets and labs. And hey, maybe we could try and do a little bit of hacking again because... oh, our computing skill didn't get any higher from trying. And plus, we are in a bit of pain at the moment, so I think we'd still struggle. I think we're going to have to find out sooner or later whether there is true trouble here. Oh, and there is, in the form of a zombie security guard that was just hiding there. Wonderful. Can we make it back out of here in time? No, Elliot is just... my dude, I am pretty sure I told you not to attack unless we have attacked something. I guess we're attacking this. Jumping in towards the security guard, we start to attack it, trying to find some form of weakness. Dusk occasionally finding a point where she can sink her fangs into it. Elliot trying time and time again to stab it with these glass shards, but really to no real good effect. It's grabbed a hold of Dusk now, and she is managing to bite it occasionally, but she's taking more and more damage as time goes on. Heavy arterial bleeding, it is nearly dead, just a little more there, Dusk. And it looks like Elliot was also taking damage there as well. We're going to try and stop the bleeding on Dusk's arm. Her torso is hurting. Let's examine Elliot's wounds, and of course, his right arm is completely broken. Brother. Let's have a look. Engagement rules. Elliot will engage enemies you attack. So, theoretically, he shouldn't have been jumping in to attack there. Buddy, fantastic. Just great. We are going to have to be very careful with him going forwards. More often than not, just getting him to stay behind. You're a troublemaker. Well, I hope that's doing something for his killer drive. Overall, his health is okay, but yeah, his arm is near well, it's not near, it's broken. Okay, we will try, and we have an alarm. No such luck, Dusk. So, you know what? I think it's going to be safest. We're going to push you back in here for now. Elliot, stay. Dusk will scout ahead, and we'll try and do so without angering the local population. Just a room of goo, and we have to be wary because slimes can appear out of them, it seems. Let's just go and close that door so the brute isn't staring. Let's see what we've got going on down here. Okay, we have in the distance a zombie bio-operator, an armored soldier. It appears to have been some sort of special forces agent. Its malfunctioning equipment sends out occasional showers of sparks. Something like that right now could very well tear Dusk apart. So we're going to close that door, and we're not going to go in there. We're going to try and find somewhere else to go, like to the north, because that is no good. And that is also kind of in the direction where we heard a lot of bashing. And obviously, back this way, there is a staircase that leads down, but down is often not the way we want to go to be able to get out of labs. We have more light up here, and we have yet another scientist. A scientist that, if we are careful and cautious, we may be able to deal with them a little easier. Are there any others though? Well, there's a zombie brute behind more glass, and it looks like we've maybe got some coins over here. No, some aspirin. Wonderful. That I would actually like. We are going to do a little bit of a bait right now because Dusk is injured. We can't afford to fight this thing, but if it dies, that would be good. So we're going to try and see if we can lure it all the way back on over to one of our dissectors. And we are going to have to occasionally turn around and get a little too close for comfort and then run away again. And we're just going to bring it over to have a good time. So I'll see you up at the dissector. All right, Dusk, Here it is. There we go. Okay, did you have anything? No, you actually had nothing on you at all. Absolutely nothing. Oh boy. Okay. Well, we're going to be heading back and we're going to see what else we can find in that place. Okay, so aspirin, first of all, that is going to be important. We can see that Dusk is already a little hungry, but she does have a little bit of extra weight at the moment, so we don't need to worry about eating just yet, but we are going to be taking some aspirin because we're in unmanageable pain right now, and I would love to take the rest of the aspirin if possible. It seems like we can. There is a little bit of carrying capacity to this subject suit that Dusk has, and it looks like we have a dust mask up here. No, it's actually a proper filter mask, which we can chuck on. It will impede our breathing though. Let's see if we can take it off and fit it in our inventory. We can. Good. It has charges as well. We will have to activate them if we find ourselves exposed to anything horrific. Nothing else hidden back here in the corner. We have more chairs that we can't break right now. And you know what? I think we'll probably take an extra aspirin because our pain is supposedly unmanageable right now. We do have some lockers up here. Let us hope there is something. Nope, nothing. And we might stand a chance at breaking these. So if we slam our shoulder into them, we will try. We don't seem to be damaging the locker. No, 6 strength isn't going to be enough to do it. We're just too weak right now, Dusk. Her bones rage against the flesh, but the flesh does not listen. And that's the end of the line up here. That's as far as we can go. We have doors over towards the west that we can check out. We're just double checking that there's nothing there in the corner. Okay, so what waits for us in the west? Of course, we could check out what horrific things are up here. Right now, we're going to focus on our immediate survival. We are hearing some noise on the other side of here. More shuffling. Shuffling that we should be able to lure over and into that dissector. You know what? Let's approach the situation from the west. And that's what we're going to do. Making our way back to that main room, leaving Elliot safe and sound for now, as Dusk is going to get work done. We'll close that door behind us, as we don't know what to expect in here. It's dark. We're letting the light filter in a little bit, but we really cannot make out much. Something has smashed its way through here, but we can't see what. It's smashed through a fair amount. What else do we have? We have, oh boy, a lab coat that we are going to go and wear right away. That is going to allow us to carry more, and it's not going to impede us at the moment. So that is some good news. That is a good find. Can't believe that I'm excited about a lab coat, but here we are. Anything else? We have a UPS down here. Okay, we're not going to be able to carry that, not easily. We could carry it in our field though. So let's have a look at that integrated field, and we'll unload it for now, taking the plastic bottle into our inventory. Now that we should be able to just have float alongside us. Good. The UPS we might actually be able to use as a bashing tool. Yeah, it has a bash of 8. So going off of that, we could probably use that to bash a chair and then use the chair leg to bash a desk to get a plank, a better bashing tool. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's actually what we're going to do. So we are wielding our UPS. We're going to start smashing this chair, hopefully not damaging the UPS too much in the process because it still is useful. We don't seem to be damaging the chair. All right, we're taking more aspirin and we're hearing an electronic voice. There are bionicle boys about. Oh, we were wielding the filter mask. My mistake. Let us instead wield the UPS, a better idea. There we go. Okay, yes, a short wooden post. So the UPS we're going to store away for now because I don't want to damage it if we can avoid it. This is a bash of 6, a little less than the UPS, but I would hope it's still enough. Let's try and bash the desk now. Okay, well we damaged the short wooden post. Okay, no, it's going to have to be the UPS. All right, we pick it up. UPS being a universal power system, for those who aren't aware, and something that is useful, but right now it is just helping us bash this desk. We're out of breath, and I think we're gonna have to wait until we catch our breath back before we continue. Oh boy, you know what? We just heard a lot of activity around here, but we got a little bit of strength back, so that's good. Let's continue smashing. There we go. Finally, we got somewhere. The UPS we are going to store in our inventory. Do we have a plank? We do. 16 ash. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So we'll be taking that plank, and that's going to be our weapon for now, a plank. And it's not a great weapon. It takes us a fair bit to swing it, but it's going to be better than using our bare hands. Now, ideally, we carve that plank down into something, but we're going to need a proper tool to be able to do that. Right now, the glass shards aren't cutting it. We do have a regular zombie up here, by the looks of things, so we're going to keep that in mind. Nothing in these. But we might be able to get a basic hammering tool if we can get a chunk of steel from it. Let's see. Let's investigate as we start to smash it to pieces there. We've got some scrap metal and some metal sheets. Neither of which is really going to help us out right this moment. Well, it was worth trying to see what we got, and now we know. Okay, up here we have yet another undead. Hi. Now you, where did you go? Okay, what do we got here? A chunk of steel. Well, that's what I was talking about. Hammering. We've got some plastic bottles here as well, and some small tin cans. I'm trying to think about everything that could be useful to us right now. The chunk of steel most certainly will be, so we're going to take that. We have a basic hammering tool now. I'm also concerned that something smashed its way through the glass here. This is reinforced glass. Okay, more than a little alarming. Yeah, so these are all patients? People that have been kept in here that have turned. They do seem to be in locked doors. I'm assuming they're locked. If we just try and open it from the inside, no, we can't. Okay, so they were locked in here. Okay, but they could have some other useful things in here as well. Now, I am tempted to take one of these glass shards because I think we still might be able to make a semi-cutting tool out of it. We are just going to need to cut something up to be able to do that. Or we can make a nail board, which is actually not a bad, not a terrible weapon. We are going to have to grab some of the nails that are down there. I mean, okay, yeah, it is a terrible weapon, but it's something that we can make right now, which, hey, that's cool. Okay, so we are going to need a little bit of light to be able to do that. So let's head back to this room here, close things up, and we're going to have a look at making a nail board. It's a -2 to hit versus currently, what is this? It's only a -1. It's a little faster to hit, but the idea of us missing more often, I don't know. And plus, I still think we'd benefit from trying to get an actual cutting tool. And going off of that, what we can do is we can search using Q and then cut, and we can see things that have cutting qualities. We need something with a cutting quality to be able to carve, and we're not going to be able to make any of these. Not with what we have right now. And we could possibly make a glass shiv, but we need a cotton patch to be able to do that. And that doesn't help us at all when it comes to cutting. So we're sticking with our plank for now. And I think we're just going to continue exploring through here. It looks like, yes, we have another high energy conduit. Good. We're going to keep that in mind as we step into the darkness here, into a room full of ash, piles of ash, which could be from wood or possibly corpses. We know which is more likely. We're hearing footsteps. I think that's just our own. Footsteps and shuffling are two different things, obviously. And oh boy, okay, an inhaler. This room has resources, or it might have at some time, but it's obviously been picked over. But one of these has an inhaler on them, so others could be here as well. And hello, broken cyborg. Let's start to move and see if we can lure you on over towards that dissector. We'll fix you, don't worry. So, up here we go. We're going to yell. We're going to try and keep its attention. Come on. Oh, there's a zombie brute there. I didn't see where you came from. It's still alive? It's still alive. Okay. I haven't seen something survive a dissector before. I kid you, I've never seen that. So, you're tough. Very tough. But, oh, come on. Come on. Come on. We're dodging. We're weaving. And there it goes. The beams are emitted from the floor, and the zombie brute is dead. The zombie brute that had nothing on it. Or the way I'm seeing it, the clothing is that matted and decayed that it's completely useless to us. Now you, broken cyborg, we're going to try and see if we can lure you up there, and sure enough, we do, and it does nothing. You hear beep boop. Please remove non-organic object. Great. Well, that's a bit of a problem. Currently, this broken cyborg is faster than us. When we're running, it is much slower than us. So, going off of that, we want to try and see if we can get away from it. We don't want to fight this thing right now. Closing the door, it shouldn't be able to get through. We should be safe. But we also need to try and remember that on the other side of that there is a broken cyborg waiting to kill us. We're going to try and catch our breath as we hear it utter, "What have I become?" Ominous. Very ominous. And seeing as there was a zombie brute down here, we want to be very cautious because it kind of came out of nowhere. Okay, broken fences. We've got wires. We've got pipes. We are in it to win, folks. A pipe is a big deal for us right now, believe it or not. Actually, looking at this, the set of pipe fittings and the 3 pipes, we could put together a pipe quarterstaff. But something else that's going to be very useful right this second, especially in this room, is a makeshift crowbar. So we need light again, but we need light safely. We know that this room down here is safe. So we're going to start to try and drag a few of these things on over towards the light. And yeah, we're going to see the zombie brute that's down there. Actually, you know, we could probably stay in here. We know this room is safe though. So let's just do that. That's going to be the better option for us. And we are going to go and we're going to make a makeshift crowbar. There we go. We'll put down our plank because we're not going to need the plank anymore. This is a good bashing tool. It's a fantastic early weapon for us. It's quick to hit with, and it has techniques as well. When we get a melee of 3, we can stun with it. It also has rapid strikes, so we can hit pretty quickly with it. But that also requires a minimum melee of 2, which right now we don't have. Dusk is still getting used to this new body. It is a bash of 10, a cut of 1, but most importantly, it can pry. It can also hammer as well, so we can go and drop that chunk of steel for now. We no longer need it. Okay. Oh, and we should stop hauling these things as well. We'll just get them out the way of the door. We'll keep them down here in the light, closing that behind us. Let's hope that Elliot isn't getting into any trouble while we try and crack these crates open. There we go. Okay, that's 1. We haven't found anything in them as of yet. Another? Nothing. Empty crate after empty crate. And there's just nails down here as well, right? Oh, hang on. Lab journal. Smythe. A book or Smith. It is one that Dusk has read before, but it's not present in her mind. Not anymore. Let's crack open that door, and we're just going to have a flick through that, and we can see that this book teaches us about mutations, but a number of different mutations or mutation paths that Dusk is, as of yet, unaware of. And she really can't do anything with this book yet, but she is going to cling to it. Oh damn, her subject suit has already taken a bit of damage. Worth us keeping that in mind as we continue into what looks like a hydroponic area. We can see these pits of shallow water. And, oh, was that chromium oxide over here? It looks like it. Yes, okay. A handful of chromium oxide. A stable green pigment for paints, also a mild oxidizer. It can be mixed with aluminium powder to make thermite for welding. Okay, If we can come across some aluminium powder, we could make some pretty dangerous stuff with that, so we are going to take that for now. What I should be doing as well, occasionally, is just checking around like this to see what we can see around us, what is on the ground. Right now, it's just ashes, a lot of wood ash. And up here in this room, we have some specks left on the ground. Safety glasses, which shall protect our own eyes. Good. We are going to chuck them on for now. And we're going to have a look at all that we've seen so far. We've only navigated a very small portion of the lab. There is so much more to see. And already, Elliot is considerably injured. A broken arm will take a long time to heal from. And that is always going to be a possibility when we're dealing with NPCs and Cataclysm. But I feel like it also just fits for the Wendigo to rush in with multiple shards of glass, attempting to stab a zombie security guard to death. These siblings know very, very little about each other than the connection that they share. Even now, separated by a number of rooms, Dusk can still sense the mind of Elliot, troubled as it is. He is safe. For now, Dusk is too. But her throat is beginning to dry. Her stomach is beginning to rumble. They will need to eat down here, and they'll need to be ready for whatever awaits above. And now that we have reached the end of today's episode, we are going to be going over some of the active world mods and some of the world settings that I used to create the current scenario that we are in. Starting off with the world mods, we have Magicalism, for all the fun and terrible things that adds, namely magic to Cataclysm. We have Mind Over Matter, which is where Dusk's psionic powers originate from. And then finally, No Hope, which is truly the fundamental force behind this world. Out of all of those that we've visited so far in Cataclysm, this perhaps is the most doomed. Resources are going to be incredibly scarce on the surface. There will not be any working vehicles that we come across. As this world, it's been this way for a while. The Cataclysm was not recent here. And that's not the only thing. As you can see under creature mods, there will be dinosaurs roaming the surface among the undead and even joining them, as all the manipulation of time and space has led to this place with no hope. We have mythical martial arts, which I feel like should play relatively well with Magicalism. And under rebalancing, we have Speedy Dex, which allows your dexterity to influence your speed in game. The more dex you build up, the faster in general you will be. And then finally, one of my favorites for progression is stats through skills. The more that we learn, the more that we practice, our stats themselves will improve over time as we become better at everything else. And then we have the world options. Under Game World, the size of the cities are 16 and the city spacings is 0. Similar to what we are running in Aftershock at the moment. But we'll really get a sense of the mega city above us, if and when we are able to escape, and what a mega city it will be. With a spawn rate scaling factor of 1.5 higher than normal, there will be more monsters. And with the item spawn scaling factor at 0.3, we are looking for far less opportunities to loot. Finally, the monster evolution scaling factor has been lowered from 4 to 2, meaning that creatures out there will be becoming stronger faster. Altogether, not great. Everything else should be default, with the season lengths being 91 days, far longer than we've had in the past. With a regular day and night cycle, we have Wandering Hordes enabled. And that, Legionnaires, shall wrap us up for our first episode here in Season 3 of Dusk's Tale, subtitled No Hope. But let us hope that we can hold onto a small modicum of hope. For Dusk thought she had failed. She arrived at what seemed to be the grave of Elliot the Wendigo Wood, but he yet lives, hopefully for longer than just this day. Pacing backwards and forwards in the other room, clutching his arm, he'll only wait for so long. Dusk must find a way through, and while she may attempt to do it alone, it is easier having someone there beside you. Legionnaires, I ask you all, if you enjoyed today's episode and if you're excited for this new season of Dusk's Tale, please consider leaving a comment or a like to let me know if you enjoyed the show. As for now, I have been Rykon. You have all been awesome, and until next time, stay tuned.